I yield 1 minute to my dear friend from Louisiana, our fearless Majority Leader, Mr. Steve Scalise.
The gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank my dear friend from the great state of Texas, the chairman of the House Budget Committee, for yielding. And I rise in strong support of this bill and moving this process forward, because let's keep in mind, as we worked incredibly hard, especially here in the House for months, to negotiate all the details of what needs to happen in budget reconciliation, and it is all laid out in this House budget. We also need to get started with the reconciliation process, the process where 11 of our committees here in the House will go to work to start making improvements in so many areas to get America back on track. And ultimately, Mr. Speaker, that's why we all come here. We come here to solve big problems. We deal with small issues too, but every now and then, and it's not often, where you deal with a big issue that can actually improve the lives of families all across this country, where you can solve problems that have been going unanswered for years and decades, Mr. Speaker, that we can address in this bill. Let's go through some of the things that this bill allows us to do, because this bill doesn't do any of those things. It just opens the door to start that reconciliation process. The front and center product that most people talk about, that is a big piece, but surely not the only piece, is to make sure that Americans don't face a massive tax increase. Now, you listen to our friends on the other side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker. They brag that they want these tax rates to go up. They want the 2017 tax cuts we passed with President Trump to expire. They don't mince any words about that. In fact, it was even talked about during the campaign. The voters surely had a say on what they want when President Trump said, "I want to keep tax rates low on hard-working families," and his opponent said she wanted those cuts to expire so those tax rates go up on those hard-working families. Well, the hard-working families of America sure said where they want to go. In fact, the majority of all Americans said they don't want their taxes to go up. And you think about which tax rates will go up. They love, on the other side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker, talking about class warfare, as if that's something that Americans should celebrate. I think it's insulting to any American who believes in the promise of the American dream to try to insult and separate our country based on how much money they make. Because whatever you make today, the greatest thing about America, which is the greatest country in the history of the world, is that whatever you are today, however much you make today, wherever you came from today, you can be anything you want to be. If you work hard, you play by the rules, you follow your dream, whatever your dream is, Mr. Speaker. If you want to be a billionaire, and frankly, you talk to most billionaires, they didn't start off chasing wealth, because that's not what gets you there. They chase the idea of something bigger than themselves, and it usually involves bringing a lot of other people along with them, Mr. Speaker. It involves creating a lot of wealth for a lot of other people along the way, too. And I guess the people on the other side of the aisle want to crush that ability. You go to Marxist countries, the utopia of some of the people on the left. Those Marxist countries, they don't have any billionaires to go beat up on, because they don't allow you to have that opportunity. They tell you what you can do, how much you can make, what kind of job you can have, and what kind of potential you can have. That's not America, and that never should be America. You can be what you want to be because of what's great about this country. And if you happen to get success, however you define it, and it doesn't even have to be financial, but if you get that success, why should government want to punish you for achieving it? Again, there's great examples all over the world of how failed that approach is. And every one of those countries, every one of them has experimented with that, and it's been a dismal failure. I don't see any of the people that want to change America to that going to those other countries, because those other countries are so failed. So let's start with that. Look at the individual income tax rates that we want to keep where they are. We'd like to make them lower, but we surely don't want them to go up, as the other side of the aisle wants to do. If you allowed these tax cuts to expire, which a no vote today would ensure, if you had those tax rates expire, it's not the millionaires and the billionaires that they keep talking about. It's 95% of all families in America would see their taxes go up. 95%. Now, unless you're making $70,000 a year and you think you're a billionaire, your taxes are going to go up. You make $50,000 a year, your taxes would go up. The alternative minimum tax comes back. A lot of people don't know what that is because we got rid of it in 2017. Every member of the Democrat Party voted no because they don't want those taxes to go away. But we luckily got the votes without them and passed it, which for the middle class of this country was a kick to the gut, and we got rid of that. That would come back 100%, and all of those people in the middle class would see a massive tax hike. Think about your small businesses. People love coming here talking about small businesses. And we ought to be doing everything we can to help the creation of more small businesses and to help the growth of our existing small businesses. But what happens if you vote no on this bill, Mr. Speaker? If you vote no, what's called 199A, it's a tax provision that very few people might be able to explain if they are told to explain it. But let me tell you what it is. 199A that would expire, that we keep going in this bill, is the equalizer for small businesses to be able to compete on the same level playing field as a large business, a massive multinational corporation. The massive multinational corporations already have their tax rates set at 21%. But your small business down the street, the mom and pop store, the business that's hiring 3 people, that's allowing that person to maybe be the next billionaire, but they're not there today. They might want to get there. But if 199A goes away, all of a sudden that small business, every small business in America, goes from paying 21% equivalent to almost 43%. So now your small businesses will get crushed, Mr. Speaker, because they won't be able to compete with the big multinational corporations. I don't know why the Democrats who oppose this bill want multinational corporations to get a 2 times advantage over every small business in America, but that's what a no vote means. You can hide behind billionaires all day long. The billionaires will benefit from that. We want to allow those small businesses to keep thriving. Yes, maybe some of them will become billionaires, and I'm not going to attack them if they do. We ought to celebrate if they do. Some of them actually don't make it. A lot of them won't make it if this bill fails, Mr. Speaker. So we protect that as well so they can have their shot at the American dream. So the single mom who's maybe never had a family that was able to afford their own house can go own their own business and one day buy their own house and maybe get a nice car, maybe get the nice things in life. They don't have that opportunity if this bill fails. That's what's at stake. We do a lot of other things that we will open up the door to go do in reconciliation by passing this bill. We secure America's border. Now, again, this was a major issue in the campaign, and I know the folks on the other side want an open border. Thank God President Trump won and followed through on his promise to secure the border. We now have a 95% reduction in illegal crossings at our border. But that doesn't solve all the problem, Mr. Speaker. President Trump wants to continue to give our Border Patrol agents the tools they need to do their job effectively. Why the previous administration denied them these tools, we can all debate, but the voters of this country made a decision in November, and they said, we don't want our Border Patrol agents to be at a disadvantage with the drug cartels in Mexico, which they are. Drug cartels have better technology today than America's Border Patrol agents. That's a disgrace. You can see drones, you can see night vision goggles, not with our Border Patrol agents. You know who's got them? The Mexican drug cartels. And our Border Patrol agents who risk their lives to keep our families safe don't have that same ability. Shame on anybody who wants to deny them that ability to have at minimum the same technology, if not more and better, than the drug cartels. We give them that better technology in this bill. We also do something, Mr. Speaker, that we used to all agree on in this chamber. And now, unfortunately, it's become a partisan issue. But we still believe in strengthening America's defense. Believe it or not, the bad guys are still out there. There's not necessarily more of them, but it's the same people who have been bad for generations. And if we sit back and stay complacent and don't keep up, go look at China's military right now, how much they're advancing their naval fleet, that we're not. We can look at all the other countries, Iran, Russia. Those countries still intend bad things on our friends. But one day they want to have those bad things apply to us too, Mr. Speaker. And how do you stop it? By having a strong national defense. We bolster our national defense in this bill. Why does President Trump call it one big beautiful bill? Because it does a lot of critically important things all in one bill that help get this country back on a strong footing. And what else it does is it produces incredibly needed savings, Mr. Speaker. Savings that the American taxpayers want as well. They want their tax dollars being spent better. They want to see this Congress find a way to get back to balanced federal budgets. And why don't we all work together to do that? We're here working together to do that. Unfortunately, the other side of the aisle doesn't want to achieve that. They want to vote against any attempt to save money. They criticize DOGE when they identify hundreds of billions of dollars of tax dollars being wasted in foreign countries, here on American soil, wasted. And people that work 2 and 3 jobs, working their tails off to help provide for their family, are incensed when they hear about this waste. And they say, when's somebody going to do something about it? Well, President Trump said, I'm going to do something about it. He actually campaigned on that too, Mr. Speaker. He said what he would do, and he's doing it. There should be a parade applauding a president who actually ran on saying, I'm going to do things, and then he's actually following through on the promises. The other side can still be upset they lost the election, and they'll keep losing elections as long as they stay in denial about what this country wants. But this country, the American people, 77 million of them went to the polls and said, these are the things we want our president to do, and their president that they voted for is doing those things. But he needs help from this Congress to continue to follow through on that. That's what passing this bill today does. It starts that process. There'll be more time to debate every one of these items I talked about. And the people that are against all the things I laid out, they can still talk about why they're against them. They can make up fake boogeymen. Oh, it's the billionaires, it's this, it's disabled people are going to lose benefits. You know what we do? We strengthen benefits for those people that are truly needed, Mr. Speaker, because so many of these programs that once used to be so great and talked about and lofty have been abused. How many illegals here, people in this country illegally, are on some of these programs that are going bust? Yes, they're going bankrupt. Those aren't my numbers. You can go look at Biden's own actuaries on those programs. Biden's actuaries said those programs are going bankrupt. And the other side just wants to demagogue and say, leave them alone, leave them be. Let them go bankrupt would be irresponsible. And if we can make them work better for the people actually here in America who pay into those programs, who've earned those programs, or who had something bad happen in their life where they have to be on one of those programs, instead of people who are stealing from those programs, the waste, fraud, and abuse alone. Government agencies have given reports on $60 billion a year in waste just in Medicaid. Waste. And they want that waste to continue on the other side. That's what a no vote gets you, is allowing the $60 billion a year in waste in Medicaid and fraud in Medicaid to continue. That's the theft of hardworking taxpayers' money. That's taking health care away from the disabled who need it. Let's actually get back to having these programs work for the people who funded them, who paid into them, who deserve to be on them, who need to be on them. That's what we do with this bill. So let the other side keep demagoguing and keep making up stories, false stories, and personality fights with a person they don't like who won an election and they're still angry about that result. And look in the mirror and maybe one day say, why? Why did all those people, 77 million of them, go to the polls and say, we want President Trump to be in the White House to go do those things he said he would do, and he's doing them? Let's help him do it. Everybody should be supporting this. But whoever's not, they can still try to be roadblocks. We're going to keep moving forward, Mr. Speaker, because the future direction of this country demands it. The people of this country demand that we keep moving forward and fixing the problems that are holding them back and holding more greatness for this country back. I urge everybody to vote no, but anybody who doesn't want to vote no, understand what you are blocking. Understand what you're voting no on. And the rest of us are going to keep going to work for those hardworking people who are tired of struggling, Mr. Speaker. They're tired of waiting for the right kind of things to happen in Washington. We can finally make those right things happen. We do it by voting for this bill. Urge approval of the bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman.